All right, good evening, everyone. Thank you guys so much for joining me for our monthly Q&A here in the month of April. I'm really grateful to see all of your faces, well, some of your faces, all of your names here joining me tonight. And I'm really excited about the conversation that we're going to have tonight because we are going to be talking about a topic that is very near and dear to my heart that I think a lot of parents are not aware of, and it's really important that we can be aware of these options that are available to us and to our kids. So if you are just hopping on the call, if you can drop a comment and let me know what grade your children are in, so that way I know kind of who is in here, and I can make sure to kind of tailor our conversation around the grades that we have reflected in here as well. All right. So let me see. Can you mute the sound? Oh, okay. Okay. No. All right. Sorry about that. All right. I see we got some middle school moms in here, which is awesome. 7th grade, 9th grade, 10th grade, a couple 11th graders. Great. 10th grade, 7th grade. Awesome. Okay. And for those of you who are in here as well, who has heard about dual enrollment before? I see Amanda's hand. Okay, I see Alina's hand as well. Okay, cool. So for those of you who are not familiar, dual enrollment is a program where basically you are able to earn both high school and college credit at the exact same time. There are a lot of different opportunities available for our students that are homeschoolers and unschoolers that are interested in going to college and also wanting to be able to take advantage of this incredible program to be able to kind of get ahead and save tens of thousands of dollars on their college education through dual enrollment. So it looks like most people in here are familiar with dual enrollment already, so that's good. So one of the things to remember is that dual enrollment is something that is available in all 50 states. I want to show you guys something though, because the way that we do dual enrollment in the different states is going to be very different. So every state kind of has its own rules and policies regarding how they handle dual enrollment for students. And so basically to start, I want you guys, if you have not seen this before, so I normally look up dual enrollment by state. And that's going to bring you to this page right here, which is the Education Commission of the states. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and click on this button here. That will show up the dual enrollment for the different states profiles. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. Okay. So basically, we're going to go to this website here, the ecs.org, and this is going to show you all the list of the dual enrollment or concurrent enrollment policies in all of these different states. So if someone could drop a comment in the chat and let me know what state you're in, and we'll take a look at what this website says about dual enrollment in your state. All right, I saw Delaware first, so we'll go ahead and take a look at Delaware. I haven't actually looked at this one yet, so this will be interesting. All right, so in Delaware, they do have, actually, let me make this a little bit bigger so you guys can see this. Hold on. Sorry, let me move this. And we're gonna zoom in so you all can see it a little bit better. Hopefully this will help. All right, so in Delaware, they do have a dual enrollment program. It's under this code. They don't have an official state program website, and they offer courses at the high school and at post-secondary, which is colleges and universities, and also online. They do not require that every high school participates in this, and they don't specify whether it's 2-year or 4-year programs, or public or private. So let me see what they actually do say about this one here. All right. So they do require students who do this to have like college and career advising, and then they cover course costs, and then the other, I'm not sure what the other is here in Delaware. Description of the required advising types. It's included in the student success plan, which provides learning about career and industry trends, connecting strengths to careers, and educational and financial requirements. So it looks like they don't have a lot of specifics here in Delaware with regarded to their dual enrollment policy. This is the description of the tuition limit policy. It says that there's no specified limit. So that's an interesting thing. There are some states that do put a limit on the amount of tuition that is allowed for dual enrollment students. But the state regulation says that no student shall be denied access to dual enrollment because of the student's or family's inability to pay. So that's an interesting phrase that is written into their regulation. This would make me think that they have some sort of maybe program or something that can help with financial aid. So basically, if you are in Delaware, this is a really nice thing that they have there, that you should not be denied access to dual enrollment just because of your inability to pay. Let me see what they have here. So all courses for which dual credit is awarded shall be taken at or through an articulation agreement with an accredited post-secondary institution. So basically what this means is that in order to do dual enrollment with a lot of colleges and universities, you have to sign what's called an articulation agreement with that college or university. In the case of Pax Academy, which is my private school, we as a private school, we sign the articulation agreement with different universities so that we're able to offer dual enrollment to our students in partnership with these other colleges and universities. So it seems like they don't have a lot of things outlisted here in Delaware, but let's take a look at a different state. I saw someone had mentioned Florida. Oh no, someone said Florida, so we'll take a look at Florida. All right, so this is the dual enrollment profile for the state of Florida. So in the state of Florida, you can see they have a lot more information here about their program here. So they do require that every high school must participate in the dual enrollment program. This dual enrollment in Florida includes both two-year colleges, including technical colleges, as well as four-year colleges and universities. It does include both public and private institutions. They do have a statewide current eligibility criteria, and this is the criteria that they have set forth for students who are in Florida. So in order to qualify for dual enrollment in Florida, you must be in grades 6 through 12, and you have to have demonstrated a level of achievement of college level communication and computation skills. They also will want to see that you have a 3.0 unweighted GPA. All right, so they're going to be looking to see that you've met these specific standards and criteria in order to be able to participate in the dual enrollment program there. This is something that's very common at the state level where they will set these kind of limits, but we'll talk about this more in depth in a minute. But basically, for a lot of students, this can be really prohibitive as well. So maybe you have a student who's in high school and maybe they did not do very well in a public school setting, and so their GPA isn't really good. That might prohibit them from being able to participate in a dual enrollment program. Now, there are some ways around it. They'll look at testing and other things like that, but they do have a very specific criteria that your student must meet in order to be able to participate in that program. All right, we're going to come down a little bit more. All right, so here it says the description of the cost contributors. So school district and post-secondary determine the costs incurred by each entity in their articulation agreement. The state policy provides guidance based on who pays, based on where the class is provided, and who provides the instruction. State counts students equally in full-time membership for district and post-secondary institution. The state pays additional full-time memberships for students that receive an A or receive an associate's degree with a 3.0 GPA. The state funds the dual enrollment scholarship program. So this is something that's really, really cool about the state of Florida that I kind of wish that we had something similar here. So in the state of Florida, they actually have a dual enrollment scholarship program that comes from the state. So basically this means that if you live in the state of Florida will pay for you to earn dual enrollment credits. And so Pax Academy, we actually just signed an articulation agreement for this year. We have to renew every year, but we just signed our articulation agreement this year to partner with the University of South Florida. So if you are enrolled in Pax Academy, your students can actually take classes through the University of South Florida completely free. the state will actually pay for all of the tuition that's involved in order for your students to be taking classes through the University of South Florida. These are online classes. They also have some kind of hybrid where you can go in, and then there's also some online learning parts. And sometimes they will also have in-person opportunities where you live close to to that school, you're able to go and participate in those classes in person. The only thing is that this is only available for Florida students. So if you're enrolled in PAX Academy, but you don't live in Florida, then you would not be able to take advantage of this scholarship that they have, because this is only reserved for Florida students. All right. So this is just kind of an overview here. Let me see if we have any other specifics that I want to highlight. Okay. I think that's good. Okay. All right, so you can go back through and read through all of these on your own time if you like. Let me see. And now we're going to go ahead and take a look at Maryland. So Maryland, this is the state where I live. Again, this is just to kind of give you guys an overview of kind of what the different options are in the different states. So in Maryland, which is the state where I live, they do require every high school to participate. It also includes 2-year and 4-year colleges, but unlike Florida, this is only for public universities. So private universities are not able to do the dual enrollment stuff here in Maryland. All right, so public universities can, but not the private ones. And also similar to Florida, we also have a very specific eligibility criteria to be able to participate in dual enrollment here in Maryland. So in Maryland, instead of being in grades 6 through 12, they have to actually be in 8th grade through 12th grade, and they have to have an SAT score of 1200 or the equivalent on a national college entrance exam. So in Maryland, we don't have GPA requirements, but they do have to meet this particular standard that demonstrates that they are ready for that college level work. Let me go down here and explain this real quick. Okay, so this is another important thing here in Maryland. This is kind of who pays for this. So this is a public institution of higher education may not charge tuition to a duly enrolled student. For each duly enrolled student who is enrolled in a public school in the county board shall pay 75% of the cost of tuition for a public institution of higher education in the state. So basically what this means is that in the state of Maryland, your student is only able to participate in the dual enrollment program of our state if they meet that criteria, if they're in 8th through 12th grade, if they have a 1200 on their SAT, and they have to be attending a public high school. So what does that mean for our students who are homeschooling or unschooling? Are they able to do dual enrollment? And the answer to that question is yes. So I saw someone, Rebecca asked on there, is PAX Academy online? Yes and no. I'll explain that in a second. So PAX Academy is a private school for families that choose to educate their children either through homeschooling, but especially for unschoolers. And so what that means is that we really do encourage a self-directed educational philosophy when it comes to our children's learning. A lot of people, when they hear the term unschooling, they think that unschooling means that there's no formal or structured learning that's happening, and that is just not true. What all the unschooling means is that the child is the one who is choosing what they learn, when they learn, where they learn, how they learn, and why they learn. And so a lot of unschoolers can and do choose to have formal structured learning, and they do choose to take formal and structured learning through college classes or classes online or things like that. So as a school, PAX Academy, we do not require any kind of classes for our students to take. We don't require them to comply with any particular curriculum. You as the parent are the primary educator for your child. So you are in charge of deciding how you want to educate your child and what resources that you want to use or that you don't want to use. And you're welcome to use whatever resources that you want. All right. So that being said, while we are not providing like an algebra class or something like that, there are so many different curricula that are already available, and there are other classes that are available. And so rather than us kind of reinventing the wheel and creating classes for ourselves, I want to help connect you and your kids to the resources that are going to be the best fit for them. because a course that one kid might like, another kid might totally hate that course. And I'm sure you probably have seen that too with your kids, that if they've taken an online class, maybe they had a really awesome experience with one particular subject or one particular teacher or one particular method, but then maybe with a different area of their life, they were like, oh no, this is terrible. I hated this online class. I don't like learning that way. And so at PAX Academy, we really do give students and families the freedom to choose how they want to earn their credits. And so through PAX Academy, we actually give our students 3 different ways to earn credits. The first one is through taking a class, and dual enrollment is a big part of what we do. So as you can see from the different college or from the different states websites that we covered in this talk real quick, actually, let me stop sharing real quick. So as you guys can see from the different state websites that we just took a look at, they have very specific and strict requirements for students that want to participate in dual enrollment. And if you live here in Maryland like I do, that means that unless my child is in a public school, they won't be able to participate in the dual enrollment program that we have here in Maryland. That actually is a law that many homeschoolers have been trying to change here in Maryland. In fact, we actually had a bill that we had proposed to try to change that to allow the state to also cover the tuition for homeschooled and private schooled students that want to do dual enrollment. But unfortunately that got shut down. So I'm sure someone will probably try to propose something like that again in the future. But for the moment right now in Maryland, we don't have that option through our state system. But that is one of the reasons why I started PAX Academy, is because I really want to help you and your teen figure out how you can learn the things that you need to learn in the way that matters best to you, and to be able to hack your high school and college education. And so we actually have partnerships with 2 different, okay, so let me kind of backtrack a little bit. So typically, if you want to do dual enrollment, one of the ways that you can do that is through going to your local, well, number one, checking out your state's laws, check out their policies. And some states actually have a website that's dedicated to dual enrollment, so you can go and check out your state's website regarding dual enrollment. Another way that you can find out about dual enrollment is by looking at the college or the university's website that your child is interested in. So let me give you an example, just so you can kind of see what that looks like. So for example, I live in Montgomery County, so I'll look at Montgomery College dual enrollment. Right. And so here, this is the dual enrollment program here for Montgomery College. And you can just Google your county or any university that your child is interested in, and then take a look at their website. And here they'll be able to tell you the kind of the different options that are available to them. They talk about here options for MCPS students, options for private school students. They even do have options for homeschooled students. It's just that the state will not pay for it, unfortunately, the way that they do for the public school students. But they do have options for homeschool students too. All right, so as you can see, the tuition is free for all MCPS students, but the private and homeschool students' costs will vary. So your kids can do the dual enrollment, they just won't be able to do the state sponsored paid for.
Okay.
All right, so let me see if I can find the cost right now. So just to kind of get an idea of the way that colleges work here, actually, let me look at. Okay, so students earn high school credits. Basically, they take one class and they earn 1 credit. With a college or university, they operate their credits a little bit differently. Instead of earning credits when they get to college, they're actually going to be earning something called credit hours. And the way that they earn these credit hours is based on the number of hours that they're spending either in class with a professor or in a lab. So for example, most classes at a university or a college are either going to be 3 days a week, so Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for an hour, or they're going to be Tuesday, Thursday classes for an hour and a half. So most classes that your children will be taking at the college level will be earning 3 credits for each class that they're taking. All right, so let me see here. Check out the University of Maryland. All right, so if you would like to know kind of how much this is going to cost you, University of Maryland, you can look at the cost per credit hour. And so this is how colleges basically break down what they're going to charge your students to be able to take classes at their program. And so as you can see from this one here, so a part-time student is going to take, so for 1 credit hour, that cost $420, right, for a part-time student. Now, again, this is for 1 credit hour. As I mentioned, most classes are going to be 3 credit hours. So you kind of do the math on that, and you're looking at about $1,200 for 1 class. Okay, $1,200 for 1 class if they were to take a class here. All right. When you enroll in a dual enrollment program, if you're lucky enough to live in somewhere like Florida, the state will pay for that for you. So you pay that fee. Another option that you have is that if your student is enrolled in PAX Academy, like I said, we have partnerships with different colleges and universities that will offer you dual enrollment opportunities. So I want to share with you about 2 of our partners that we have in addition to the University of South Florida. We partner with a university known as Bottega University. And one of the reasons why I chose to partner with Bottega University is that unlike a lot of these state universities, they actually do not have these minimum requirements that your children have to meet in order to be able to participate in the dual enrollment program. So it doesn't matter what your child's GPA is. It doesn't matter, like they don't have to do any kind of special testing or pass an SAT or college placement test in order to be able to participate in the dual enrollment option. Anyone is welcome to give it a try. And the other reason why I love Bottega University is that instead of charging $1,200 for 1 class, they only charge $300. $300 for 1 class. And our partnership agreement with Bottega says that any student who is enrolled in PAX Academy that wants to take classes through Bottega University is able to take classes with them. And if you were to take a full-time schedule, a full-time schedule is 4 to 6 classes. So if you were to take a full-time schedule with them, the most that you would pay is $1,100 for that semester. This is huge. And we just saw here to take one class at the University of Maryland is going to cost you over $1,200. But to take 18 credits through Bottega University, the most that you will pay is $1,100. All right, so that's Bottega University. The other university that we partner with, this is actually a new partnership. So I'm just able to announce this to you guys for the first time, which is really exciting. And we are partnering with a college, or university rather, called Arizona State University. And Arizona State University also has a really incredible dual enrollment program. And again, one of the reasons why we're choosing to partner with Arizona State University is one of the things that I like about them is that they will allow you to take any college classes through them that you like for $25. That's it. They also don't require you to do any kind of special testing. They don't require you to do any kind of like GPA requirements or anything like that. If you want to try to take a college class, anyone is welcome to try. And so for $25, your teen can take any of the college classes that they have available through Arizona State University. And at the end of taking this class, if they are satisfied with the grade that they got, then at that point, they can choose to pay the course fee, which is $400 per course. So this one is a little bit more expensive than Bottega University. So Bottega is $300 per course. Arizona State University will end up being $425 per course. But what I really love about that is that they give you the option of whether or not you want to add that class onto your college transcript. So let's say that your teenager really wants to give it a try, but they're not sure if they're going to be able to do it. They're not sure what grade they're going to get. They're not sure if it'll be too hard for them. They can try the class for $25. That's it. And if they get to the end of the class and they get a C or a D on for that college class, they can decide at that point, you know what, I really don't want to have a C or a D on my college transcript. I'm not going to include that on my transcript. And so then you would not have to pay anything else. They're able to just, they pay the $25 and they were able to try it out. And then that's it. So I really appreciate that they give families this risk-free opportunity to be able to try doing dual enrollment without having that pressure of like, oh my gosh, if I try this and I fail, or if I try this and I don't, do very well, or it's harder than I thought it would be, then, it's going to ruin the rest of my academic career kind of a thing. No, it's really, really incredible the way that they're able to offer kind of this flexible, very low risk option for families. So if you want to, if your student wants to take classes through them, they absolutely can. So what are the kinds of classes that they can take through dual enrollment? Typically, we recommend that if they're planning to go to college, that they would take dual enrollment, like a lot of the general education classes, those are really easy to kind of get out of the way through a dual enrollment thing. So rather than paying, again, $1,200 per class for an English class or an introductory math class or an introductory science or biology class or whatever, rather than paying for these classes when you get to college, you can take advantage of dual enrollment right now and basically take that class and earn that credit now while they're in middle school or high school. So yeah, I know I said a lot. Let me go check the chat real quick and see if there are any questions in here. Gia said, could I have the name of the lady in Maryland to contact again, please? Sorry, Gia, I'm not sure who you're referring to. If you could let me know, that would be great. All right, Jiggy said, how do we get grades through PAX Academy? Are PAX Academy credits grades accepted in regular school if the person decides to return to regular in-person schooling? Hey, Jiggy, thank you so much for asking that question. So the way that we handle grades in PAX Academy is really, really, really unique. And actually, I have a whole video. It's like a 2-hour long webinar where I talk about how we handle grades as an unschooler, which is really cool. So let me go back to the 3 ways that you can earn credits through us. The first way that you can earn credits through us is through taking a class. Now, obviously, if your child is taking a class, it's really easy to give them a grade because they took the class and they'll get a grade from whatever the class is that they took. And then you would just report that grade and that class to us. So let's say that your child wants to take Algebra 1 and they want to use Khan Academy. For those of you who are not familiar, Khan Academy is a completely free online curriculum. It's used in schools all over the country, and I love that it is free. You really can't beat free. So Khan Academy, let's say they want to take Algebra 1 through Khan Academy, they would finish that course, and then whatever they would get in that course, then you would report that to us, and then we would reflect that on their transcript. All right, the second way that your kids can earn credits through PAX Academy is through testing. And again, I have multiple videos that go in depth about how they can earn class credits through testing. But 2 of the most popular ways to do that are through AP testing and CLEP testing. This is actually one of my favorite secrets to be able to kind of hack your college education as well. And the way that you can do that is, so for example, AP testing stands for Advanced Placement Testing. And in order to take an advanced placement test, your student will have to notify their local public school that they're interested in taking one of the AP exams. And I can pull up these here. AP exam topics. All right, so just so you have an idea, these are the different AP exams that they offer. So they've got these 2 English credits that you can get, and these will replace like your introductory English in college. So like English 101, English 102. They've got social studies in here, a bunch of different social studies classes. They have math and computer science. They've got all these different science AP exams that they can take. And they've also got all of these languages over here, which is really cool. A unique fact to know about these classes is that when you take the AP exam, if you take the AP exam and you pass it, you're basically replacing 1 class at the college level. And remember what I told you before, 1 class is 3 credits. So 1 class in college is typically 3 credits. So for all of these classes, typically you'll earn 3 credits replacing whatever that college class would be. The only subjects that are different are the world language classes. So I actually took the AP exam for Spanish, and I took the CLEP exam for Spanish, but we'll talk about that in a second. And because I had taken the AP Spanish exam and I passed it, my college actually, instead of giving me 3 college credits, they gave me 12 college credits from taking this one test. I literally earned an entire semester's worth of college credits in 90 minutes. It was amazing. So if your child is a good test taker, AP testing or CLEP testing is going to be their best friend for sure. So as I mentioned, if you want to do the AP testing, they have to register at the local high school before November, and then they have to take the exam with all of the other public school students at the public school location whenever they administer the test, and that is usually in May. So registering before November, taking the exam in May. That's a lot of time kind of in between for your students to prepare and practice. But this is actually one of the reasons why I prefer the CLEP exam. And so I'll show you the CLEP exam in 1 second here. All right, so the CLEP exam, CLEP stands for College Level Examination Program. And one of the reasons why I prefer the CLEP exam is because rather than having to take this test at your local public high school, you can actually take this test from the comfort of your very own home. This is absolutely incredible. I am such a homebody. I would feel 1,000 times more comfortable taking a test from my home rather than having to like go to a center and go deal with all that formal stuff. But they do allow remote proctoring for the CLEP exam, which is great. These are the different kind of subjects that they have here. You can see there are some of these subjects that kind of overlap with the AP exam, but there's some of them that are also really different. So they've got introductory to psychology, microeconomics, social studies, Western civilization. This is similar to like world history. These are like their English classes. So they have college composition, which is like a college level writing class. They've got English literature, American literature up here. So all these different kinds of things. And then here they have science and mathematics. So remember, when your students are in high school, they're going to be looking for 3 science classes: biology, chemistry, and physics. And surprise, they've got them here too: biology, chemistry, and this one doesn't have, I don't think they have physics on here. But they do have physics for the AP exam. So, but they've got biology and chemistry here, which you can get those out of the way. And then they've also got these different math exams. I actually took a CLEP exam. No, I took the AP exam for math. I took AP statistics. And because I took the AP exam for statistics, I did not have to take any math when I was in college. And I was so grateful for that because I was able to finish that and get that done. These classes here, the college level algebra and the college mathematics, I would highly recommend for your students. These two tend to be the easiest of the math exams for them to be able to take. This college mathematics class, as you can see here, it says it's a college math exam that covers material that's generally taught in a college course for non-mathematics majors. So if your child is not planning to grow up and become some famous engineer or a math teacher someday, this one would be the exam for them. This is just like kind of more basic level math. All right, so that's for that one. They also have these business options as well, principles of marketing. And then as you can see here, they also have the world languages. So they have, the CLEP exam has different languages than the AP exam, but both of them have Spanish and French. So here you can see you can take any of these Spanish exams. And again, if they take the Spanish exam and they pass it, they can earn up to 12 college credits, which is huge. So yeah, so this is the CLEP exam. As I mentioned, oh, and another really cool thing about the CLEP exam, as you can see, this exam here costs $95, right? There is a way that you can actually do the CLEP exam for free, and I will show you how to do that now. So if your child is interested in taking the CLEP exam, they have a website called modernstates.org. I want you to go ahead and look at that website. You're going to want to bookmark this, all right? modernstates.org. This is a nonprofit organization, and what they do is they offer preparation classes for people that want to take the CLEP exam. So as you can see, all the different CLEP exam topics that we had, remember we saw biology, chemistry, all these kinds of things, college algebra, college math, they're going to match the CLEP exam that your child might be interested in taking. These courses here, these preparation and practice courses, are completely free, right? They are totally free for your child to take. So they could take this class as a way to kind of prepare themselves to take the CLEP exam in the future. Once they complete this course, they will receive a voucher that they can use to take the CLEP exam completely free. And they can do this for as many of these tests as they want to. So look at all of these different classes. Your child could literally take this free class here, study, take the CLEP exam, use their voucher to do it for free, and earn college credits completely free, as many as they want. All right. I have them here. Okay. So this is the CLEP exam. This is the second way that they can earn credits through PAX Academy. So if your child takes a CLEP exam and they pass it, I'm not going to make your child take a whole year-long course. That would be a complete waste of their time. And I am not interested in wasting their time or mine. So if they already know the content and they've mastered it at a college level and they've passed the CLEP exam, then they will earn the credit both for college and they will earn the credit for us in high school as well. All right. And then the third way that they can earn credits through PAX Academy, and this is kind of our specialty, rather than taking a class, rather than taking a test, your students can do what we call taking your time. And what that means is that anything, literally anything that your children do in their actual real life can be converted into academic credit. Many of you, if you've been following me for any length of time, you know that my daughter is obsessed with digital art and animations, and she's been teaching herself how to create digital animations, and she spends hours every day working on her digital art and her animations and things like that. So if I were to give my daughter a grade, right, I would look at what are the things that my daughter is interested in and how can I kind of convert that into school-based subjects for her. So I'm going to show you an awesome tool that you can use if you're not sure about how to convert your children's life experience into academic credit. A great website that you can use for this is called learningcorner.co. learningcorner.co. And as you can see here, this is a website that uses AI. This is also completely free. You literally can type in anything that your children do. So in my case, I'll put creating digital animations on Procreate. That's what my daughter loves to do. Digital art and animations on Procreate. And I'll put her age. She's 11 right now. And then we'll go ahead and let me see if I can move this here so you can see. All right, then we're going to click here where it says analyze activity. And now we're going to let AI do its wonderful thing. All right, so they're going to go ahead and start analyzing this activity that I mentioned. And obviously, the more details that you can provide, the more feedback you'll be able to get back from this activity. All right, so as you can see here, this activity covers art and technology and also covers digital literacy. Okay. They also give tips on how you can help them with this. I love that they include book recommendations. So if my daughter's, really interested in this, they're recommending here The Art of Procreate by this author here. And then this is something that I think is really, really cool. They also include the Common Core learning standards, standards and objectives. So if you're in a state like Pennsylvania that requires you to document, or New York that wants to see these connections to state standards, for people that care about state standards, then you can see they will translate that into this, right? So for example, this is a Common Core ELA standard, which is English Language Arts. And it says here, writing narratives to develop real or imagined experiences using effective technique, descriptive details, and clear event sequences reflected in animation, storyboarding, and sequencing. That is an actual Common Core standard for English Language Arts. And yet my daughter does this completely naturally all day, every day, because this is what she loves and enjoys. Right. So again, you can do this with anything at all that your children do in their life. You can take anything that your children have done and convert that into academic credit. And you can not only do that for us at PAX Academy from K through 12, but you can also do this at the college level. Colleges refer to this as portfolio credit. And again, you can see like college portfolio credit. You can see here, you can Google any college or university and they'll tell you what they're looking for. What you can do, which courses that you can get credit for from a portfolio. All right, and they've got this whole list of credits here that you can earn. If you own a business, they'll give you, you can replace business courses from your real life, real world experiences. Every college has different credits that they will allow you to do. But in my philosophy, if you're able to earn college credit from your life experience, then you should be able to earn credit in K through 12 for your life experience too. All right, so you can go ahead and dive deep into that if you like, and do some research on the different colleges and what they have. All right. Let me go ahead and, sorry, I'm coming back to the chat here to catch up. I think I missed a couple of comments here. I saw Michonne said, oh my gosh, that's awesome. My child could do a bunch of credits for so cheap. Yes, it is incredible. And actually, I was talking with the family about this the other day. They were talking about graduating their daughter early. And I was like, if you were to graduate your daughter early, what would she do? And they were like, she would go on to college. And I was like, okay, if you were to graduate your daughter early, she would go on to college and she would be paying full price for the college or university. But if you, instead of graduating her early, if you take advantage of the dual enrollment program, you can literally earn, I mean, if you were to go through Bottega University, you could do an entire semester of college, a full-time semester, and only pay $1,100. Like that's unheard of. I mean, that's cheaper than even the local community college. And this is from a four-year university. So yeah. All right. MA said incredibly strategic. Absolutely. Melissa said this makes me so much less anxious. Good. I'm glad. Michonne said, does Bottega do the option for transcript grade as well, or only Arizona State? So to my knowledge, Bottega doesn't do the option to like opt out of it. They will let you withdraw though. So they do have a withdrawal period. So if your child wants to try a class with Bottega University, I believe they have 3 weeks. Don't quote me on that. So I believe that they will give you 3 weeks where your child can kind of test out the class and try it out. And if they try it for 3 weeks and they're like, nope, this is not for me, or this is way much more work than what I was expecting, or this is way too hard, this is not my level, they can withdraw from the class at no penalty, and you'll be able to like get a refund and everything. So yeah, so I don't think that they allow you the option to like finish the class and then decide, but they do give you that window at the upfront at the beginning where you can, you know, withdraw if it's not a good fit for you. All right. Can you transfer Bottega or UOA to University of Maryland or other schools? Elena, that is an excellent question. And the answer to that is yes. So because these are colleges and universities, they're accredited colleges and universities. So most colleges and universities will accept a transfer of these credits. All right. So this is an awesome, awesome opportunity, again, where your kids can start kind of knocking out that's why we typically recommend knocking out a lot of like the gen ed classes, because if you can get the gen ed classes done through dual enrollment, you're going to pay a whole lot less. And then it really, like, it does not make sense for anyone to be paying tens of thousands of dollars to take English 101. Like that just, like that does not make sense. Why would you pay $1,200 to take English 101 when you could literally take it for $300, like the same thing? Do you know what I mean? And so we actually have several students in PAX Academy who they're graduating PAX Academy and they're getting their high school diploma and their associate's degree at the same time because they've been taking advantage of dual enrollment and knocking out so many of these credits like up front from the very beginning. So yes, the credits absolutely can transfer to other colleges and universities. Just a little disclaimer, I cannot guarantee that every university will accept every college or credits from any other institution, but that's the case with anything. Anytime you're transferring from one school to another, every school reserves the right to decide what they accept and what they don't. But yeah. Amy said, my son does want some in-person instruction and we're in Montgomery College, so I was hoping for a better deal with Montgomery College. I know. I wish that we had something like that where like the state would be able to help contribute to the dual enrollment students that are private and homeschool students. I don't know if you were here, Amy, when I talked about that earlier. We actually tried to advocate for a change in our Maryland law right now that would allow the state to also cover the cost for homeschoolers and private school students. But unfortunately, the Democrats voted that one down. So hopefully we'll be able to, you know, try again in the future, but so far that one did not go through. So yeah, but there are other states that do offer that. Like I said, if you are enrolled in PAX Academy and you live in Florida, the state of Florida will pay for 100% of your tuition through our partnership with the University of South Florida. So yeah. All right. I know I talked about a lot. We covered a lot of different stuff here today, and I want to make sure that I have time to answer anyone's questions. So if you have any questions about dual enrollment, AP testing, CLEP testing, PAX Academy, any of these kinds of credits or anything at all, please drop your comments in the chat, drop your questions in the chat, or if you like, we're a small group, you can unmute yourself and ask your question. That's totally fine too.
Hi, I have a question.
Hi, April.
Hi. So I'm in Baltimore City and I did call the homeschool office because I was interested in switching to PAX Academy.
Mm-hmm.
But they were telling me that the school wasn't approved. And I know you had said it's all approved by the state and everything. But they were telling me I would still have to meet with them for homeschool reviews and all this stuff. So when I call them, what do I say or how do I get around all of that?
Great question. So in the state of Maryland, we have 2 different categories of private schools, basically. And so we have what's called non-public schools, and then we also have something called a church exempt school. And so PAX Academy is classified in Maryland as a church exempt school. The reason for that is when you operate as a church exempt school, we are exempt from the educational requirements of the state. If I were to have structured PAX Academy as just a regular private school, then I would have to comply with all of the educational and like curriculum stuff that the state requires. And as unschoolers, we were really not interested in that. And so to be able to give you guys the most freedom and flexibility possible, we are registered as a church exempt school. So in order to find us, a lot of times, like when you go to the county, I've had this happen where some counties will look for Pax Academy on the non-public school search, and they won't find us there because we're not on the non-public school search. We're on the church exempt school search. So let me see if I can find it for you so you can see where to go. Okay, so I just looked up church exempt schools in Maryland. I think it might be this one. Okay, here we go. The list of Maryland schools that are registered as church exempt. Sorry, it's kind of taking a second. Their website is very slow. Okay, so if you come in here and you'll see here's Pax Academy. All right, so we are registered again on the Maryland State Department of Education's website as a church exempt school. So yeah, you could tell them that. If they have any questions or whatever, you can have them reach out to me. This was actually a question that I had asked HSLDA about. I said, you know, like I really do want to try to protect our families as much as possible. And when families enroll in the umbrella, of course, we have to report back to the state for the families that are in the umbrella. But when you're enrolled in a private school, you have additional privacy because you're not under the supervision of the state in the same way that a homeschooler is technically still having to like report back to the state of what's happening. And so that's part of the reason why I try to be like very strict and hold to my guns as far as like, no, we're not reporting to the state as far as like who's enrolled with us. Like we don't give them any of that information. It is not their right. We hold on to like the privacy for the families in Pax Academy as much as possible. But that being said, if they are looking for us on the non-public school site, they won't find us there because we're not there. We're on the church exempt side, if that makes sense.
Yep. Thank you.
You're welcome. And like I said, if anyone is harassing you or giving you a hard time about it, feel free to let me know. I'm happy to reach out to them and just say, hey, they are enrolled with us. We are a church exempt school. We are on the state's website. Bye. All right, any other questions? Oh, I see Geneva said, what is the age for Pax Academy? So we currently are accepting students from kindergarten through adults. So what that means is that if your child is school age, they can register in our K through 12 program. The law in Maryland states that they have to be 5 before September 1st. So before September 1st, if they're 5, then they're welcome to enroll with us. And we also have a program, an accelerated high school diploma program for adults. So if you are an adult who maybe you didn't finish high school or you haven't gotten your GED yet, or you dropped out early or whatever, you are actually able to enroll through our accelerated high school diploma program. And you can earn your high school diploma through us as an adult as well. So yeah, so from 5 years old on up. I actually had a mom reach out to me recently and said her older daughter is enrolled with Pax Academy, but she said my 3-year-old and my 4-year-old they really want to have their own Pax Academy student IDs. Can you start a Pax Academy preschool? And I was like, that's a great idea. And so actually that's something that I will be proposing to the board if we can open up a Pax Academy preschool version so that the younger siblings are able to participate in the fun and have their own student IDs and things like that. So yeah. Oh, and Lauren, you sent that as a private message to me. Yes, that was you, Lauren. So Lauren, thank you for inspiring us to consider expanding into Pax Academy preschool. All right. Jinky said Pax Academy provides a student ID. Do we need to inform the county where we live when enrolled in Pax Academy? No. So again, because Pax Academy is a private school, you don't have to notify the county. You do not have to fill out a notice of intent to homeschool. It would be the same as if they were enrolling into any other kind of private school. They're not reporting any of that to the state or the county. Amy Perez said, do you know of any alternative for a high schooler to take an in-person class or for DE in Montgomery County, single mom, and he will be a junior in the fall. If we cannot find a way, I'll have to put him in public school next year. Hey, Amy, thank you for asking that question. So homeschool students can participate in dual enrollment classes in person. In fact, we have several people that are enrolled in Pax Academy and Peaceful World Schoolers that are doing the dual enrollment programs at their local colleges and like community colleges and stuff. The only issue is that the state won't pay for that. So if you're able to pay for the dual enrollment classes up front, then you can. They typically give it for a discount, but you have to be in public school in order to have the state pay for it, which I don't know. I don't feel like that's really fair, but It is what it is. That's the way that the law is right now. So until we can change that, that's the way it is. So, but they can participate in dual enrollment. You just would have to be prepared to pay for that out of pocket. All right. Samantha said, are PACS courses self-paced or taught virtually with an instructor? So that is a good question. So PACS Academy, we are a private school for unschoolers. What that means is that we provide you with that legal covering of being enrolled in a private school with the freedom to do unschooling or self-directed education. So the course that we provide is actually a course that I designed for parents, not for students. It's a course that I designed for parents where I teach you as a parent how to unschool your children from kindergarten through 12th grade. I will teach you everything that you need to know about how you can effectively educate your children through an unschooling philosophy and an unschooling lifestyle. Now, a lot of people, as I mentioned before, have this perception that unschoolers don't go to school, or that unschoolers don't take classes, or that unschoolers don't have teachers, or that they don't have any kind of formal or structured learning. And that's just not true. I know that there are some people in the unschooling community that would probably disagree with me, or they'll try to cancel me for saying that. But the heart of the unschooling philosophy is self-directed education. And there are times where a child will direct themselves to take a formal or structured class. A prime example of that is my daughter. My daughter is 11 years old, and every year we talk about what are the things that she wants to learn and how does she want to learn them. A couple of years ago, she told me she saw a video about, you know, those kids that do like the abacus math where they're like multiplying and adding in their heads in like 5 seconds. I mean, it's incredible what they can do. And they're typically in like in India or in China or Japan, and they're able to do really complex like math addition, sums, multiplication, all that in their heads. My daughter saw a kid that was doing that, and she was like, oh, that is so cool. I want to learn how to do that. And so what did we do? As unschoolers, we first looked for resources that we could find that would help us. So our first resource that we went to was YouTube. So we started researching on YouTube. How do they do this like abacus thing? How does that work? And so she kind of watched it, got the idea of it, but she wanted to practice with it. And so then I started looking for an app. I found a free app on my phone that she could practice doing the abacus math, where it kind of taught her in a more structured way, but through an app on the phone. So then she did that for a while. And then eventually she said, Mom, I really want to learn how to do this. Do you think that we could take, I found a company that's doing like a free trial class with a teacher to do this kind of math. And I said, hey, this is, you know, they're doing this free trial. You want to give it a try? And she said, sure, that she wanted to try it. And she tried it and she loved it. And so she said, Mom, I would love to take this class. I know that sounds crazy, but my unschooler asked me, the first class that she ever asked me to take was a math class. Crazy. So she asked me if she could take this math class, and she did that math class for several years. And then this year she said, you know what, Mom, I think I'm done. You know, I don't think I want to continue learning this style of math. I would rather learn like math, you know, in a more traditional way. And I would love for you to help me learn regular math. And so then we did. We found some books that would support her in that. And so she's been learning math with me, and that's something that we work on together. But again, she's taking the initiative in the kind of math that she wants to learn and the way that she wants to learn it. She did the same thing with art. You know, my daughter, again, she's obsessed with art. She loves art and drawing. She asked me this year if she could take an art class on OutSchool. And so that was what we did. I am not a professional artist. And so I went on OutSchool and I found some art classes on there, and she got to, you know, she literally went through, I mean, hundreds of different art classes that they have on there, the different videos of all the different teachers, found one that she thought looked interesting, and a teacher that she thought looked, you know, seemed fun and nice and kind and was the style of art that she was interested in learning more about. And so that's what she's been doing now for her art class. So that's what I want for you. I want to help your children figure out what they want to learn and how they want to learn it. Because not all of the learning that our children do, it doesn't have to be through a formal or structured class. Sometimes our kids will choose that, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes, you know, my daughter started teaching herself animations just from watching YouTube videos and playing around with it on her iPad. You know, that she just kind of taught it to herself. But then she got to a point where she was like, in order for me to continue advancing in the skill, I need, you know, I want to have help from a teacher that can teach me and be a little bit more efficient with that, right? And so yeah, so that's what we really try to do. We meet with students at the beginning of the school year, especially students that are in high school, and we do an hour-long one-on-one consultation where I talk with them about their plans, their goals, the different things that they're interested in learning about, and then we make a very specific strategic plan for how they can achieve those goals. If your child is looking to go to college in the future, you bet I will absolutely be talking to them about dual enrollment. I would never tell a high school junior or senior to take a Khan Academy English class. Like that would be silly. That would be silly. If you're a junior and senior and you want to go to college, sign up for a dual enrollment class. If you're going to be putting in all this work and effort to take an online class, you may as well get college credit for it. Like that's just that just is what makes sense to me. But yeah, so again, but that's going to be an individual conversation with every single kid, and it's going to look different. If your kid's not interested in going to college, then there really isn't a need for them to pay extra for dual enrollment because they're not planning to go to college, right? Like they're planning to do something else. So it would be better for them to invest their time and their effort and energy in something that is going to bring them closer to achieving their personal goals and the things that they're actually interested in and what they're passionate about, right? So it's going to look really different for every kid. All right. Melissa said, I have one going into ninth grade. How much is it to enroll, and what does dual enrollment look like in California? Hey, Melissa, thanks for asking. So I am a single mom, and I am deeply committed to making sure that Pax Academy is affordable for anyone who wants to be able to give their children access to a private school education and a private school diploma. So Pax Academy only costs $350 per year for one kid. $350 per year. All right. And when you, right now we actually have a family discount going on where if you enroll as a family, you can enroll a family up to 3 students, and that is only $600 for the year. So $600 per year for a family of up to 3 students. Jiggy said, any feedback from Pax Academy graduates and their journey you can share with us? For example, entering colleges and universities using a Pax Academy high school diploma. Thank you for sharing all these valuable information. Yes. Yeah, so this is only our second year running Pax Academy. I founded Pax Academy in 2023. And so in our second year, we have been able to graduate several different students. And like I said, their path has all been really, really different. This year, we're actually graduating a couple of different young ladies in particular that have already been accepted at colleges and universities like Harvard. They've been accepted at the University of Maryland. We had a student that was accepted at Howard University, one that was accepted at George Washington University. So they've been accepted at these really prestigious schools, which is really cool to say. I think one thing that really set those girls apart in particular is that they did have dual enrollment on their transcript, right? So these were girls that were while being a part of Pax Academy, they took advantage of the dual enrollment opportunities to be able to market themselves to these colleges and universities and say, yes, I'm homeschooled. Yes, I'm an unschooler, but I've taken advantage of these dual enrollment classes to show that I am capable of doing college level work, and it's reflected on my transcript. I've got, 4.0 GPA, and I'm going to these awesome schools. So obviously, we can't guarantee that your children will be accepted into every school that they might want to go to, but that is going to be the case regardless of where they go. Unfortunately, every college or university is different. But what I will say is that if you have a student who is interested in going to college, oh no, my live just turned off. If you have a student who's interested in going to college, it will help a lot for them to be able to show on their transcript that they have taken these college level courses. That will help incredibly in increasing their chances of being accepted at colleges and universities because they've already shown that they're capable of doing that level of work. Yeah. All right. Hey, everyone on TikTok. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened. It just turned off, but glad you guys are back. All right. Any other questions? We got a couple more minutes. Elena said, how hard is it in your experience to unschool a middle school or high school student for a single parent working full time? So my oldest daughter is 11 years old. So she is actually going to be just starting middle school this year. Not that we care, quite frankly. But so I can't really speak to like my personal experience with having a middle school or a high school unschooler. What I can do is point to the experiences of others who've kind of walked this path before me. And to be honest, that is the only reason why I'm able to be here today, is because when I first started researching and learning about unschooling, I binged watched the Exploring Unschooling podcast. If you have not watched that podcast, you need to mark that down. It's called Exploring Unschooling. And the Exploring Unschooling podcast, the podcast host, her name is Pamela Recchia, and she is an absolute gem. She has been unschooling longer than I have been alive. And when I first started my own unschooling journey 6 years ago, I didn't know anyone else who was unschooling. And so, quite frankly, I was terrified. And one of the big questions that I had was, how does this turn out for people, right? I can see how unschooling can be really easy in kindergarten. You know, they're learning colors and shapes and numbers. And I was like, yeah, my daughter's not going to be 20 and not know her colors and numbers and shapes will be okay. But, you know, at the time that I was researching about unschooling, I was also teaching Algebra 2. And so I was confronted with this reality that how is an unschooler going to learn Algebra 2? How are they going to learn Algebra 2? Because I don't know of a single high schooler I don't know any teenagers who are out here graphing quadratic functions for fun. Like, I just don't. I don't know anyone who is graphing quadratic functions for fun. Now, maybe you've got some really like brilliant math genius on your hands, but I have not seen that before. And so, yeah, so I just have not seen it. And so that was a big question for me. I thought, you know, how on earth is an unschooler going to go to college if they're never going to encounter Algebra 2 in their real life, you know? And so what I started to do was I started interviewing grown unschoolers. I just started reaching out to grown unschoolers on Facebook. They probably thought I was crazy. They're like, who's this strange lady wanting to talk to me? But I did. I started interviewing grown unschoolers, and I would talk to them about their experience. And my two main questions were, number one, how did you learn how to read without being taught? And number two, how did you know all of the math that you needed to know in order to be able to go to college if you never studied math? Like, how does that happen? Those are my two main questions. And the answer to those two questions was really shocking. The reading question, every single person said that they did not remember how they learned how to read. For the most part, they said that it was something that just happened very naturally as they went about their day. And they had different ages that they learned how to read. For some of them, they started reading at 4 years old. There were other unschoolers, grown unschoolers, that said they really didn't feel like they were confident readers until they were like 11 or 12. For the most part, most of them started reading somewhere around 6 to 8 years old. That was kind of like the natural age when they first started to learn how to read, you know, just naturally and organically. As far as the reading part, I can definitely speak to my experience with that because my oldest daughter is 11 and my son is 6, and both of them can read, and I have never taught either one of them. I never taught my kids how to read. Okay, never. Which is a little bit crazy to say as a former reading teacher, but I had to see for myself. And the reading question was a really important question for me because I was just so curious. You know, I was like, I was a reading teacher for a good portion of my career. And it was like, how can that be that, you know, all these unschoolers are saying that their kids learned how to read completely naturally? Like, was my job just pointless? You know, I was like having this identity crisis here of like, what did I do nothing? You know, they just would have learned it on their own. And yeah, and so that was a really hard thing for me to kind of wrap my mind around. But I figured, you know, if I'm ever going to learn for myself, if it's true that children can learn how to read without being taught, now's the time. My kid's 5, she doesn't know how to read. Now's my time to see if it's possible. And so, yeah, so that was kind of how we started unschooling, was doing that. And then when it came to the math, that was my other question, is I asked them that, you know, how did you learn all the math that you needed to go to college? And their answers shocked me, legitimately shocked me. Every single grown unschooler that I interviewed, when I asked them, how long did it take you to learn 13 years of math? Drop a comment and guess how long it took them to learn 13 years of math to be able to go to college. Drop a comment and with your guess. I'm so curious what you all think. How long would it take an unschooler to learn 13 years of math in order to prepare themselves well enough to go to college? Lauren said 1 year. Elena said 1 year. Amy said a summer. Okay, most people are guessing around a year. So the actual answer was, the longest answer that I got was 6 months. The shortest answer that I got was 2 weeks. Guys, when I tell you, I was like, what? When this lady told me, she said she had never done any formal math in her entire life, zero math in her entire life. When she was ready to go to college, she had to take a college level placement test, like the entrance exams for college. At that point, She said, okay, if I want to go to college, I have to take this test. And in order for me to take this test, I should probably study and like prepare myself. She studied for 2 weeks before taking this test. Not only did she take the test and pass, but she took the test and passed and scored at a sophomore level of college math after studying math for 2 weeks in her entire life. Guys. And when she told me this, I was shocked, but I legit wanted to cry at the same time. Because when she was telling me this story, at that same time, I was working as an Algebra 2 teacher at a public high school with special education students. And every day I would go to school and I would see my students that were stressed, that were bored out of their minds, that were frustrated, that they felt like they were idiots because they couldn't figure out for the life of them how to graph a quadratic function. Because who does that, right? Like they were miserable. They were absolutely miserable. And I saw them doing that. And then I would think back on all these years that I would talk to parents of my students from public school, and they would say, oh my gosh, my child, it's like pulling teeth to try to get them to do their math homework at home. If you guys have had kids in school, comment and let me know if you've had that experience where you've been trying to do math homework with your kids and they're just, you want to pull your hair out, like they just don't want to do it, right? Yeah, I've seen a couple of people comment here privately. Yes, that has happened to them, and so I started to become really confronted with this idea that Jiggy said right now. I started to be confronted with this idea that here we've got these unschoolers that their parents completely supported them in learning their passions and interests. And when they had a purpose to learn that higher level math, they learned it really quickly and they learned it really well. And then on the flip side, we've got all these kids, all these parents whose kids are in school or they're trying to do school at home. And the kids are miserable and the parents are miserable. And they're spending the very few hours that they get to actually be together. And they're spending that time fighting about math homework. Like, guys, that's crazy. That's crazy. And when we know, like, why on earth would I do that? And I really thought about that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I could literally spend the next 13 years of my life fighting with my daughter about math. Or I could instead spend that time, the next 13 years of our life, supporting her as she pursues her passions and interests, wherever that may lead her, and helping her cultivate the things that she loves and learning the skills that are valuable and meaningful for her in her actual real life. What would be the better investment of my time? What would be the better investment of her time? Right? And I tell this to parents all the time. If a skill has not shown up in your child's actual real life, they don't have to know it yet. Like, I really want you to get what I just said. If a skill has not shown up in your child's actual real life, they do not have to know it yet. I really mean that. And I look at my daughter, she's 11 years old. My daughter does not know how to divide fractions. I know that she does not know how to divide fractions, right? If she were in public school, they would say she's behind because she doesn't know how to divide a fraction. Should I be worried that she does not know how to divide a fraction? Should I be worried about that? When was the last time that you divided a fraction? Honestly. So those are the kinds of things that I'm thinking about as I'm going on my own deschooling journey, right? I'm deschooling myself and kind of letting go of a lot of these processes and this conditioning and this programming that we all have, that learning has to look like this, and it has to be in this order and in this way and in this place and with this person and with this structure and with tests and quizzes and projects and homework, and it has to be difficult and challenging and hard and frustrating, right? No, it doesn't have to be like that. It does not have to be like that. Also, how can my daughter choose college courses to earn her AA degree? That is a great question. So When it comes to earning an associate's degree, that's going to depend on the college or the university that they're enrolled in or that they're wanting to take classes with. So every college, every university, every community college is going to have different programs, different majors that they have available to them. In general, most kids can knock out a lot of the gen ed classes through dual enrollment. So things like, again, English 101, English 102, biology, math, chemistry, psychology, a lot of just the entry level college courses. And so again, the number of courses that they're able to take, the number of courses that a college requires in order to earn an AA degree, that's going to depend on the college that she's interested in participating in. All right, I see. Oh, Milady. Milady said you're Kiani's sister. Thank
Yes,
you.
hi.
Oh my gosh, you sound just like her. You sound just like her. I'm
Yes,
so
we
glad that you're
do.
here. Thank you for being here. Okay, hold on. I'm reading your question. You said, can my daughter,
Yes.
which is a junior, earn an AA by the time she graduates high school? She's currently enrolled in dual enrollment with her high school and has already taken 2 college courses already. Yes, so they can earn an AA before they graduate for high school. Technically, they earn it at the same time. So they're
Right, right.
yeah, they earn it at the same time. But that's going to, again, depend on the school that she's enrolled in and how many courses that she's taken. And it's one of the reasons why dual enrollment, when you're in a public high school, it's really hard to get your AA when you're in a public school because the public school consumes all of your time with their classes. Do you know what I mean?
No, I totally get it. But
Yeah.
so she's a little bit of an exception
Okay.
because we did missionary work in Dominican Republic.
Oh,
And
awesome.
then yes, thank you. We actually just got back a year ago. So she's actually ahead of the game.
Oh, perfect.
So she already has 21 credits and she only thank you. And she only needs one more English class. So
Okay.
we're trying to figure out, does it make sense to stay in the public school and do dual enrollment while taking that one class? Or can she just do homeschooling, let's say with you, with Pax Academy, and do dual enrollment? We're trying to figure out what route to take.
So I am very biased. I will be upfront.
Okay.
I am very biased. I believe 1,000% that the best gift that you could ever give your children is the gift of time.
Okay.
And if there's one thing that I have seen in my over a decade of experience as a public school teacher, is that public school is an extreme waste of your child's time.
Hmm.
It-
My daughter already loves you.
oh, oh, good. Well, you can tell her the love goes right back.
Yes, but
It,
and she's really good with she's also taking FLVS,
uh-huh.
Florida Virtual,
Yeah.
and she's already, how many classes did you take? Two, three? She's already taken 3 classes, passed those with an A. She's currently taking one now for another easy A just to boost up her GPA.
Mhm.
So she has that where she has that dedication and is able to do homeschooling on her own,
Yeah.
obviously with any assistance she needs from me.
Yeah.
But we're just making sure that she's able to do it and succeed. We don't want her to you know like leave public schools and then it's going to be, oh, we should have stayed or whatnot. What if?
Yeah. I mean, I would really leave it up to her. You know,
Okay.
this is her life. And I think if you can outweigh, share with her about kind of the pros and cons of the different options that are available to her. What I will say is after working with unschoolers and seeing unschoolers over time, um, once you experience a life that is free from the force and the control and just the dynamics and the pressure and the stress of that system, once you're free from that system, it's like the whole world opens up to you. They typically don't want to go back.
Right. No, I get it.
Like when you're free, like what are the things that she's most passionate about?
Oh, soccer.
Okay, great. So let's say, like, is she wanting to pursue a career in soccer in the future?
Yeah, she actually does. Yeah.
Okay, great. So again, if you think about her life, right? If that's her passion and she wants to pursue soccer, then we think about, okay, what would be the best investment of her time, right? And actually, there are a lot of athletes that are wanting to kind of get to that next level that they homeschool because of their sport. They homeschool because they want to train for 5, 6 hours a day. I don't know how they do it, but they do. And so for them, they're like, why would I waste my time sitting in a high school chemistry class, when this is what my passion is and this is where I want to go in my life, and it would be more valuable for me to invest my time in pursuing that than for me to waste my time doing this.
Right. No, no, that's awesome. Yes. Yes. So I feel good.
Good. Good. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
it's been amazing. Yes, I'm listening. I'm just on mute so you can keep on talking.
Oh,
I'm
okay.
else has questions, but thank you. And maybe we could get like a maybe one-on-one with you
Yeah,
soon.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. I offer one-on-one calls, so I have free
Okay.
15-minute calls. So if you like, I'll drop the link in the chat. So if anyone is watching and you would like to book a 15-minute call with me, you're welcome to. I will say right now is definitely my busiest time of year because we're doing all of our annual reviews and we're kind of wrapping
Of
up and doing like
course.
college and career consultations. So my availability is very, very slim right now. Um,
Okay.
but you're welcome to book one of those calls with me. And then if you have a high schooler in particular or a middle schooler that is thinking about earning high school or college credit, then I highly recommend that you book a college and career consultation with me. That is a consultation that lasts an hour. And during that time, we really dive deep into your child's passions, their interests, their skills. We talk about goal setting. We talk about what their plan is for after they graduate. And we make a very specific strategic plan for your child regarding how they can achieve whatever it is that their unique passions and their goals are. Because again, it's going to look different for everyone, and it's kind of the silly part about education is that, we're like, the world thinks that education needs to be standardized, but every human being is unique. And so if we are all unique individuals with unique passions and talents and gifts and skills and interests, then we should expect that our education will be just as unique as we are. And so that's the beauty of what we can do when we embrace a life of self-directed education or unschooling, is that we give our children that freedom. We give them the freedom to figure out, who am I? What do I love? What do I want to invest my time and my effort and my energy in? And really have them be empowered to take charge of their own life. Because I don't know about you, but I don't really want to be having to tell my kids what to do all day, every day. Like I want my kids to be empowered to create a life that they love and to know that they have my support and my encouragement, and that I'm here for them. But at the end of the day, they are in charge of their life. They are in charge of their choices, and they are the ones who are responsible to create the kind of life that they love. And it's a beautiful thing, to be able to embrace the unique individual that God has given us, and to be able to help them really become all that they can be, and to remove a lot of like the stress and anxiety and just the pressure and the go 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 all the time that we see so present within the schooling system. All right, she said, Elena said, thank you. You're welcome, Elena. When does registration open for PAX Academy for next school year? So we have year-round open enrollment. So if you are, and actually this is really important, if you have a teenager who is in high school right now and they are not doing well, if they are failing in their classes in school right now, not doing well, or even if they're not doing well, maybe they're doing great, but they're like stressed or anxious or overwhelmed, and they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. You can actually enroll them in PAX Academy for this current school year right now, so that they can earn their credits through us for this current school year. The other option is, if you're wanting to wait and enroll them for next school year, we will open up our enrollment for next school year after June 1st. All right, so after June 1st, you can enroll for the 2025-2026 school year. But if you have a child who is not doing well right now in this semester of high school, or they are, or maybe they're doing well, but they're like stressed and overwhelmed and don't want to do it anymore, then they can also enroll for this current school year. Great question. All right, any other questions? Jiggy said PAX Academy has a high school graduation in person. So yes, we do. We actually partner with an organization called Machi. And they do an in-person high school graduation at the University of Maryland. So it is a really, really, really beautiful ceremony. They do the whole thing, like caps and gowns, the whole shebang. Because Pax Academy is a private school, we have students from, actually, we have students from 40 different states, but we can have students from, any state that they want to is welcome to enroll with us. But currently we have students representing 40 different states. So obviously we can't, like I can't plan graduations in 40 different states by myself. So there are always like local homeschool groups that offer like homeschooling graduations. And if, as I tell people all the time, if there's something that you want and it doesn't exist, then create it. So if you want to be that person and you live in a state that, if you don't live in Maryland and you can't participate in our graduation ceremony here, you can absolutely create a graduation ceremony where you live. Let me see, Jessica says, sorry, I just joined. My child is registered this year for 8th grade. Next year's high school. How can he take some college credit and payment for that? Hey, Jessica, so since you are enrolled in Pax Academy, you will actually have access to this recording. The recording will be available only for Pax Academy families. So if you are enrolled in Pax Academy, you'll be able to watch this video as many times as you need to. So go back and watch this video. But I talked about the partnerships that we have with Bottega University, Arizona State University, and the University of South Florida. These are 3 really, really awesome programs where you can enroll your children in any of those different programs. Each program has kind of pros and cons. Each one has its benefits and other kind of things to consider. And so I would highly recommend booking a college and career consultation at the beginning of the school year, especially since you have a child who's going into 9th grade. So that consultation is going to be really important because as they're transitioning into 9th grade, we really want to make sure that they are set up and prepared and that we've really got a solid 4-year plan for them. Now, of course, I know things change, their interests may change over time, or they might find other things that kind of captivate their attention as they grow, and that's totally fine. But I really want all of the students that are enrolled in Pax Academy to at least have some idea of where they're going, right? Again, a lot of people have this misconception. They think that unschooling means that they're not learning or that they're just kind of, it's this just chaotic free for all. And some days it is a chaotic free for all. I'm not going to lie. Some days it is a little crazy and everyone's just kind of doing, whatever they want and we're having fun together. But that being said, we still have goals. Part of empowering our children as they grow is helping them learn how to set goals for themselves and how to create the structure that they need to achieve those goals. That's a huge life skill that they need to learn. And I will tell you that is something that most of my students in the public school system do not know how to do, because in the public school system, we literally teach them to depend on someone else to tell them what to do and how to do it all day, every day. And if you were ever a public school teacher, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Those poor kids, they just really struggle. They really struggle with having that kind of like intrinsic motivation and the problem solving skills to kind of do stuff on their own. Again, because they've spent, 12, 13 years of their life having someone else tell them what to do and how to do it all day, every day. And so transitioning to unschooling where they have the freedom now to be their own boss. They have the freedom to decide for themselves what they want to do and how they want to do it. It can, some students really they get really excited about it. They're happy, they thrive in that. But then there are other students, especially when they're, in the teenagers, sometimes teenagers can struggle a little bit, right? Because they've got more years under their belt of being in that kind of compulsory, coercive system for so long. And so it can take time for them to really kind of unlearn a lot of that stuff and then relearn what it looks like for them to be in charge of their own life and to make decisions and to set their own goals and to work towards those goals in the ways that they want to. So Rebecca Hopkins said, correct me if I'm wrong, in order for my child to be in dual enrollment, she must be partnered with an actual school or program that is partnered with the Choice University. We could not do dual enrollment without that partnership. So no, Rebecca, that is not correct. So any person can do dual enrollment. Colleges offer and again, it depends on the state that you live in. So if you were homeschooling through Peaceful World Schoolers is my homeschool umbrella here in Maryland. You could be in Peaceful World Schoolers and do dual enrollment. You just would have to do the dual enrollment for the programs that are available here. You couldn't do Peaceful World Schoolers and enroll and get the Pax Academy rates for Bottega University and Arizona State University, because that's like the prices that we get for that. Those are things that I have negotiated with those universities, and we have signed a contract saying that for this school year, this is our agreement of what they're going to offer, what they're going to charge. And that is only exclusively for students that are enrolled in our program. But if you want to, if you're just a general homeschooling person that's not in Pax Academy, you can still do dual enrollment, but you would have to comply with those laws. And as I showed you, like in Maryland, they won't be able to take advantage of like having the state pay for those things. You'll be paying more. First and foremost, you'll be paying like the full price. And then the second thing is that most of the colleges and universities, most states require them to have some certain qualifications. So they have to have specific SAT scores or specific GPA scores. Like they have these minimum requirements in order for them to do dual enrollment. And, some kids maybe qualify for that, some don't. Whereas with the partnerships that we have with Pax Academy, with Bottega and Arizona State, they don't have those requirements. So literally anyone can try. Anyone can try. And like I said, with Arizona State, they literally can try for $25. They can try and earn college credit for $25. There's no minimum requirements. There's no minimum age. There's no minimum, test scores or anything like that. Anyone can try for $25. And if at the end they're not happy with their score, it will not harm them anyway long term. But if at the end they take the class and they're happy with their score and they're proud of what grade they got, then at that point they could pay, the $400 and have that credit show up on their permanent college transcript. So, yeah. Oh, awesome. Great. All right. Any other questions? Let me see if we've got questions on here. I saw Jessie dice, ¿cómo le hacen para entrar por Zoom? Hola Jessie, si quieres entrar en la reunión de Zoom, tienes que mandarme un mensaje por privado y te puedo enviar el enlace donde puedes unirte al grupo de Zoom. All right, Amy said, my son is in 10th grade, was in Peaceful World Schoolers since November to break free from MCPS. I did my annual review. Can I change him to Pax Academy before the end of the year for the credits and the transcripts, or does that happen the same way? Hey, Amy, yes. So if your son is in 10th grade, then you can absolutely switch him over to Pax Academy so that we can issue him his credits and his all of that for this current school year. If you were to not enroll him in Pax Academy for this current school year, then you would have to be the one to create the transcript for him for this year that he was, a homeschooler, and then you would submit that with his enrollment. The challenge sometimes when enrolling as a homeschool student is that when they do try to make that transition to college or career, a lot of times the colleges will want to see proof of kind of how did you earn that credit, because it's like, your mom said you got an A in algebra 2. How did you do that? So that's why being able to be enrolled in a program like Pax Academy, we can help make the transition to college a little bit easier, because they're counting on us to kind of do that vetting, and so we're the ones that are kind of putting our stamp of approval, saying yes, these students earn these credits and they can move on, as opposed to it being like a mom thing. Rebecca said, what are the benefits of being a part of this group versus Pax? You mean Peaceful World Schoolers? So I run 2 different homeschooling organizations. Yeah. So the first one is Peaceful World Schoolers. Peaceful World Schoolers is our homeschool umbrella, and that is only for families that live here in Maryland. So unfortunately, if you do not live in Maryland, you cannot be in our Peaceful World Schoolers umbrella. But the umbrella just provides, like, we ask the bare minimum that the state requires of you. And that is that you enroll with us. You pay the $100 fee. Everybody leaves you alone, including me. And then at the end of the year, we do our annual review, and that's it. So it's just kind of a, pay the $100, do your thing. We check the boxes at the end of the year, moving on. Pax Academy is a private school. So within a private school, it offers a lot more that is not available to the families that are enrolled in Peaceful World Schoolers. So for example, not only is your child considered enrolled in a private school, but you are actually considered a teacher with a private school. So you will actually get a letter that says Rebecca Hopkins is a teacher with Pax Academy private school in Maryland. And you can use that teacher letter to be able to qualify for any company or anything that offers teacher discounts. You can use that letter to be able to get those teacher discounts. And actually, my family and we recently took a cruise with Margaritaville. Margaritaville had this special offer where they were doing free cruises for teachers. And so in order for us to qualify for the free cruise, I had to show them a copy of my teacher verification letter and my teacher ID that says that I'm a teacher with PAX Academy. And so me, my best friend, and my 2 kids, the 4 of us were able to travel for free on a week-long cruise in Mexico because of PAX Academy. So PAX Academy costs a little bit more upfront, but if you're doing it right, you should be absolutely saving money from being a part of PAX Academy. And then in addition to that, like we talked about today, in order for you to take advantage of the dual enrollment partnerships and stuff, you have to be enrolled in PAX Academy. Peaceful World Schoolers can't make those dual enrollment contracts because Peaceful World Schoolers is not a school, if that makes sense. So, yeah. All right. Any other questions? Any other questions? No? Okay. All right. Well, if there are no other questions, I just want to thank you all so much for taking time out of your Wednesday evening to spend with me and talk about dual enrollment and CLEP testing and AP testing and PAX Academy and all these awesome things. I hope that this meeting has been a valuable investment of your time. I would love to know, comment below and let me know if you learned something new in this conversation tonight. I'd love to know. All right, Maryville said, how can I contact Arizona State University? So if you are interested in having your child enroll in Arizona State University, and Maribel, I know that your son is enrolled with PAX Academy. So just send me an email with his, just with his name and letting me know that he wants to start taking classes through Arizona State University. And I actually have to create an account with Arizona State University so that he can start taking classes there. So yeah, so send me an email with his information, and then I will do the work I have to do on the backside so that he can start taking classes there. Yeah, they'll send him like an email with a portal so that he'll be able to look at all the different classes that they offer, and then he can go and pick whatever classes he wants to do. Can both parents be listed as teachers for enrolled PAX Academy students? That is a great question. Yes. Yes, both parents can be enrolled, or both parents can be considered teachers for students that are enrolled with PAX Academy. Yes. And in addition to that too, you get other teacher benefits like Canva. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Canva. Canva is like a professional graphic design software. It usually costs $200 per year. That is also included for free with your tuition in PAX Academy. So like I said, actually, I had a mom reach out to me a while back saying that she was able to save 25% on her cell phone bill because they gave her a teacher discount after she showed them her PAX Academy teacher ID. And just that one discount alone was worth over $500 for her and her family. And she only paid $350 to be enrolled in PAX Academy. So she sent me a message and she was like, Angela, I can't believe it. Like they gave me, this a $500 discount on our cell phone bill. And yeah. And so that was a really cool thing to hear. But yes, you can get, use your PAX Academy teacher ID to be able to get discounts, and we get like free entrance at different museums, or if they have like special, teacher appreciation days or whatever, different companies will offer things like that. And so, yeah, you can use your PAX Academy teacher ID to get all kinds of fun goodies. All right. Thank you guys so much for being here. If you like, you're welcome to stay and hang out. I'm going to try to see if I can address any questions from people on TikTok. And otherwise, if there are no questions, then I will head out too. All right. Hello, everybody on TikTok. Thank you guys for hanging out with us tonight. Sorry, we kind of got cut off there for a minute. Just wanted to see if anyone over here has any questions before I log off for the night. Any questions on TikTok? No? All right. Well, thank you guys for being here. Hope this was helpful, and I look forward to connecting with you guys some more. I'm going to go ahead and drop some links in the chat for you guys. I'll drop the link for PAX Academy. We are going to be opening our enrollment for the 2025-2026 school year. It's going to be opening on June 1st. So if you are interested in enrolling with us for next school year, you can click on the enroll button on our website, for next school year. If you have a student who you would like to enroll for this current school year so that you can earn your credits for this school year, you can absolutely do that right now on our website. We're accepting enrollments for this current school year up until June 1st. So yeah, feel free to go ahead and do the registration on our website. And then, like I said, if you guys have any other questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to help you guys. I hope this was helpful. And I hope you'll have a wonderful evening. Bye. Oh, you're very welcome. Thank you, milady, for being here. I'm so glad that I got a chance to kind of interact with you a little bit.
Yes, I was so happy
I am
too.
so shook that you sound so much like your sister. I'm like, that's scary. If I didn't know it, I would think I was talking to her. Legit.
I know.
So
But
funny.
it's not her, it's me.
I
Yes.
know.
Actually, I have another question. So I
Yeah.
have an 8-year-old. She's in 3rd grade.
Yeah.
And because we did missionary work away, the culture shock was very difficult for her. So I just allowed her to try to learn the language because I didn't teach her Spanish. So, allowed her to learn the language and, kind of get used to the culture. But it wasn't easy for her because when we left, she was 2.5. And when we came back, she was already 6. So, her reading foundation is not strong. So she's moving along like really, fast. But my question is there any way to do kind of like, instead of, how hybrid is home and then school, is there any way to do where she can stay enrolled in her school now, but also take some classes with your school?
So PAX Academy doesn't offer classes in that sense.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't offer classes in that sense, but we have hundreds of different resources that we provide to families to be able to take other classes. There's so many resources that are already available. Like there is anything at all that your child could possibly want to learn. I guarantee you there's like a free class on it somewhere out there.
Right.
And so, like I said before, I'm really not interested in like reinventing the wheel. I don't want to waste my time or anyone else's. And it's like, why would I create, a coding class when Harvard has free coding classes? Like I'm not going to do better than Harvard, and so I think OutSchool would be a great resource for her if you're looking, like if she's interested in taking classes and wanting to kind of supplement what she's doing. Are you familiar with OutSchool?
No, not really.
Okay. OutSchool is a really, really awesome website. They basically they're like live classes via Zoom, but they're on so many different subjects and the teachers can teach in a really creative way because they're not tied to a curriculum. So like one of the classes on there was like learning math through Minecraft.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
Yeah, so there are things like that where like they're really kind of creative, out of the box things. They offer classes on a wide variety of stuff, and you get to choose who you want her teacher to be, So so that would be a great option for her. But truthfully, in 3rd grade, I think the best gift that you can give to a 3rd grader is lots of time to play, lots of time to just be around you in the home and be around other kids outside and
Oh yes, yeah.
to be able to do that. So yeah, but if she does want to take the classes, I would highly recommend OutSchool.
Okay, so it's called
OutSchool.
School.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, definitely I will. Oh, I think I found it.
Yep.
Okay, awesome. Yes. And then you said June 1st you have registration starting for next year.
Yes.
Okay, so we
and
have
you're in Florida, right?
Yes, we're in
Oh,
Florida.
perfect. PAX Academy is actually registered in Florida. So
I heard, yes.
Yeah, which is really cool because if you homeschool in Florida and you're not in an umbrella school, they make you do like you have to do evaluations and testing and all this other stuff. And we're like, no, no, who has time for that?
Right.
So yeah, if you enroll in PAX Academy, then you don't have to do any of that other stuff, which is really nice.
Okay, awesome. And then what about like SAT preparation and all that?
Yeah, so Khan Academy, they actually have free SAT prep, and you can literally Google like free SAT prep classes, and you, like I said, you will find anything at all you could want to learn. You just Google free classes on whatever it is, and you will find something. But there's tons of them available. I really like the Khan Academy one. I think people have done well with that. Um, but yeah, and then there are other places too that offer like free in-person classes for SATs. I've seen like community colleges offer like free SAT prep classes, or they'll do like remedial classes and things like that to help as well. So getting connected with the local community college is a good help. But she's got a long time before well, I guess you have your older.
No, that's the older one. Yeah, no,
Oh, she's in
yeah.
third grade.
Yeah, the third grade. No, the oldest is she's a junior.
Yeah,
She's the
that's what I was
one.
thinking
Yeah,
of. You have an older
yeah,
one. I
yes.
was like,
Well, yeah,
your
I
third
have an
grader doesn't have to worry
older.
about the SAT.
Yeah, no, and then I have a 23-year-old. Yeah,
Oh
he's already
my
yeah,
gosh.
yeah. He was
Oh, that's
attending Embry. Yeah, so he's We
very
tried the dual enrollment, but he's too smart for. He graduated early. He skipped kindergarten, so he wasn't at the maturity level. And I kept on saying, "Come on, let's do dual enrollment. It's gonna be, great, especially for mommy and daddy. Their pockets."
yeah.
He's like, "Oh yeah, okay," and yeah, no, didn't happen. But he's doing other things. So
Yeah. Oh, well,
yeah,
that's good. I'm glad that
yeah.
he's doing well and he's thriving in his path.
Yes. But I don't want to take more of your time. Thank you so much. I'm definitely gonna schedule a one-on-one with you. Hopefully your first availability, whenever that is.
Oh, let me
Yeah.
send you the link for that too.
Oh yes, please.
Hold on 1 second. All right. I'm gonna drop it in the chat, so in case anyone would like to schedule a one-on-one, go for it. Oh gosh, my next availability is on May 15th. I'm telling you,
Wow.
it's getting booked. So all right. Great. Well, thank you guys. I'm gonna stop the recording.